Prime Minister.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Prime Minister.
Good morning. Let me start by, first of all, as a country at the outer edge of the Eastern Mediterranean, welcome the ceasefire that was brokered by President Trump between Israel and Iran. But at the same time, let me express my firm belief that permanent solutions can only be found through active diplomacy. At the same time, it's important not to forget the other aspects of this regional crisis. It is absolutely necessary that we implement a ceasefire in Gaza, that humanitarian aid flows into Gaza. This is a big component of a permanent solution to the problem of instability in the region. Now, coming to this summit, I think it is very encouraging that we have all agreed to a significant increase in our defense spending. I have been a strong proponent of the need for Europe to step up our military spending and take more ownership over our own collective defense. Greece is a country which is currently spending more than 3% on defense, and we have consistently exceeded the 2% threshold, even during the very difficult times of the economic crisis. So I welcome the decisions taken by the summit. I hope that all member states will do their part, because at the end of the day, this is an alliance which is based on trust and on fair burden sharing.
Prime Minister, if Greece can get to commit to 5% spending of military of GDP, why can't the Spanish? We have very similar history, very similar recent history for Greece and Spain. Surely you can put pressure on Mr. Sanchez to agree to a deal.
Well, first of all, let me say that, as I told you before, we are currently above 3%. So we have a plan to spend more than 25 billion over the next 12 years. So we will reach the 3.5 plus 1.5% threshold by 2035. But the point of an alliance is to make sure that there is a fair burden sharing, and that there is no sense that certain countries are sort of free riding on the defense commitment of other countries. So I think it is important to understand that these targets, I think, should be binding, and they should be binding for all 32 members of the alliance. Thank you.
I think you prefer the German Chancellor.
Wir sehen einem historischen NATO-Gipfel entgegen. Ich möchte zunächst einmal dem Generalsekretär Mark Rutte herzlich Dank sagen für die Vorbereitung, die sehr gute Vorbereitung dieses NATO-Gipfels. Wir hatten gestern Abend bereits Gelegenheit, mit den Staats- und Regierungschefs zu einem Abendessen zusammenzukommen und über verschiedene Themen miteinander zu sprechen. Ich gehe davon aus, dass wir heute eine gemeinsame Entscheidung treffen, die NATO in Zukunft mit wesentlich besseren Mitteln auszustatten. Wir werden einen Beschluss fassen, dass die NATO in Zukunft 3,5% und 1,5% zusätzlich für die Infrastruktur zur Verfügung stellt für unsere Streitkräfte. Dies alles wird in großer Übereinstimmung stattfinden, weil wir übereinstimmend feststellen, dass sich die Bedrohungslage geändert hat. Und die Bedrohung heißt insbesondere Russland. Russland bedroht nicht nur die Ukraine, Russland bedroht den gesamten Frieden, die gesamte politische Ordnung unseres Kontinents. Und deswegen will ich herzlich Dank sagen, dass wir in dieser großen Solidarität in der NATO heute zusammenkommen. Ich will ausdrücklich sagen, die Entscheidungen, die wir treffen, treffen wir nicht, um irgendjemandem einen Gefallen zu tun, sondern wir treffen diese Entscheidungen aus eigener Erkenntnis, aus eigener Überzeugung, dass die NATO insgesamt, und dies betrifft vor allem den europäischen Teil der NATO, in den nächsten Jahren mehr tun muss, um die eigene eigene Verteidigungsfähigkeit zu sichern. Und deswegen gehe ich mit großer Zuversicht heute in diese Beratungen und freue mich darauf, die Kolleginnen und Kollegen in der NATO zu treffen. Herzlichen Dank.
Good morning, everybody. You know, NATO was founded some 75 years ago to defend international law, human rights, the rule of law, and I think this is more important than ever today at a time where we are living in, where we are seeing fundamental geopolitical changes. And in this context, it is quite impressive to see this unity among the 32 members of NATO. I think Europe needs to be a strong pillar of NATO, and that is why, independent of percentages, it is important that we strengthen our military capacities, but moreover, our general security. That goes cybersecurity, our competence to manage space, satellites, and indeed my country, Luxembourg, has some know-how in that area. So we need to put everything together so that tomorrow NATO will be a strong defense alliance, make sure that we can protect the way of life of our citizens, and to do that together with the United States is of course an asset, because there are many around us who do not like the way of life we have. So I'm happy to be here and to support this common effort for more security.
How truly committed is Donald Trump to NATO, you think?
The fact that the President of the United States is here today is a strong commitment, I think, to NATO.
But he keeps threatening to pull out from his NATO obligations.
I'm here to listen to the President of the United States and to all of the other colleagues. Being together is already something important that we witness here today.
Wie weit muss man gehen, um Donald Trump zu schonen, der die Europäer eigentlich verachtet?
Wir sollten nicht nur nach Amerika schauen, wenn wir über unsere eigene Sicherheit nachdenken. Rund um Europa gibt es vieles, was nicht in Ordnung ist zurzeit. Wir haben Russland, wir haben den Nahen Osten, wir haben Ambitionen von China. Und wir müssen selbst in Europa für unsere Sicherheit sorgen. Natürlich ist, was in Amerika geschieht, wichtig für die Allianz. Aber selbst ohne diese unterschiedlichen Positionen haben wir die Sorge, dass wir die Lebensweise, die Lebensart der Europäer, Rechtsstaat, Freiheit, Frieden, die müssen wir absichern. Und darum geht es bei diesem NATO-Gipfel.
Frieden, Belgien und Spanien scheinen eine eigene Auslegung vom 5%-Ziel zu haben. Wie viel Flexibilität braucht man?
Der Weg zu diesen Ausgaben, den muss jeder Staat selbst beschließen. Und ich glaube, das, was NATO-Generalsekretär Rutte Spanien geschrieben hat, gilt natürlich für alle. Das heißt, jeder muss souverän, eigenständig seinen Weg zu diesen militärischen Kapazitäten und allgemein zur Sicherheit festlegen. Wir haben 10 Jahre, um das zu tun. Und ich glaube, da muss jeder seinen Weg finden, auch angesichts seiner geografischen Lage und seiner Geschichte. Vielen Dank.
Zuerst 5% zahlen und danach Artikel 5 gültig. Was halten Sie davon?
Artikel 5 ist ein Grundelement der NATO-Charta seit 1949. Das ist die Ursache, weshalb, glaube ich, viele von uns in NATO-Mitglied sind. Auch mein Land als Gründungsmitglied der NATO. Wir werden Wir werden geschützt auch von den anderen. Und deshalb ist jeder, der hier etwas dazu beiträgt, ist auch ein Garant für die Freiheit und den Frieden anderer Staaten. Und deshalb gilt Artikel 5, auch Artikel 3. Wir müssen alle etwas dazu beitragen, um Sicherheit, Frieden und Freiheit zu garantieren. Vielen Dank.
Prime Minister, Luxembourg's been getting a free pass as well, hasn't it? It hasn't even got to 2% of spending yet, like the Spanish as well. Why hasn't Luxembourg got to 2% spending? And what are the hopes to get to 3.5%, sir?
My government has decided to, like some others, to spend 2% by the end of this year. So we are in line with many others. And our goal is to continue to increase our collective effort in the years to come. Thank you.
Are you worried about Donald Trump's kind of predictable interpretation of Article 5? Is it no longer valid for the USA?
So, I would like to say that after the yesterday...
Are you confident that Donald Trump will defend any NATO ally regardless of what they're spending on effects?
I'm confident, but I'm afraid that the Russia might have too. So we have to get ready and spend 5% of spending on So thank you very much. Goodbye. Bye.
Have a nice day.
Estar como disse ontem Marco Rutte, bom dia, na mensagem que tocou com Donald Trump e que tornou pública nas redes sociais.
Bom, muito bom dia. Eu queria destacar no início desta cimeira 3 aspectos que me parecem determinantes num momento que é um momento particularmente relevante da nossa aliança. Em primeiro lugar, a nova ambição que sairá deste nosso encontro no que toca ao investimento na área da segurança e defesa, com vista a termos uma aliança atlântica com maior capacidade de dissuasão e de defesa do seu espaço territorial. Para esse efeito, todos teremos de fazer um esforço e este é um marco significativo da assunção de uma corresponsabilidade, de, nomeadamente na Europa, podermos acompanhar um nível de investimento compatível com os grandes desafios para enfrentarmos as ameaças e assegurarmos aos cidadãos europeus e também aos portugueses o cumprir da nossa democracia, dos direitos fundamentais dos cidadãos, da possibilidade de continuarmos a ser uma nação soberana, com os nossos aliados a constituírem connosco um espaço de dissuasão de qualquer ameaça à nossa integralidade e ao nosso espaço. Para esse efeito, teremos de investir mais na área da defesa e a segunda nota é reiterar mais uma vez que, da parte do governo português, nós acompanharemos esse esforço. Assumimos já o encargo de este ano atingir 2% do nosso produto em investimento na área da defesa, um investimento que continuará nos próximos anos, dentro de um contexto de equilíbrio que não porá em causa nem a nossa situação financeira, nem as nossas responsabilidades com todos os serviços públicos que constituem as respostas sociais aos nossos cidadãos e dizer que olhamos para esta nova etapa não propriamente como a assunção de maior despesa por si só, mas de maior investimento. Nós não queremos apenas gastar mais dinheiro, nós queremos investir mais na nossa indústria, investir mais na nossa capacidade, poder dinamizar a nossa economia, poder aproveitar os nossos recursos humanos que, do ponto de vista tecnológico, estão num estádio de vanguarda, podermos criar novas oportunidades de emprego e temos a repercussão económica deste investimento. E, em terceiro lugar, também destacar que, mais uma vez, creio que na Aliança Atlântica ficará muito claro o apoio à Ucrânia na procura de uma paz justa e duradoura, uma paz com a Ucrânia e uma paz com a Europa também.
What are your
Donald Trump fez com que Portugal chegasse aos 2% já este ano e se compromete nos 5%.
Não, nós temos uma perspectiva de poder ter um investimento nos próximos 10 anos que estimamos possa gerar um consenso agora na Cimeira, não quero já antecipar as conclusões, de se poder atingir 3,5% do produto, mas aquilo que é importante para nós salvaguardar é que nós faremos isto com equilíbrio, de forma progressiva, conciliando todas as nossas responsabilidades, nomeadamente a estabilidade financeira e, por via dela, também a responsabilidade que temos de assegurar às portuguesas e aos portugueses todas as respostas sociais e, portanto, não prejudicar nenhum dos nossos eixos de política pública com o reforço deste investimento.
Portugal está preparado para pagar à grande, como
Portugal está preparado para ser parte de uma cimeira que marca uma nova fase, que garante a unidade da Aliança Atlântica, que garante a solidariedade entre a Europa, os Estados Unidos, o Canadá, que garante que nós, em conjunto, poderemos continuar a assegurar aos nossos cidadãos que os seus direitos, liberdades e garantias estão salvaguardados, que podemos ter as nossas democracias a funcionar e que podemos ter uma capacidade coletiva de enfrentarmos as ameaças que pairam sobre nós a vários níveis, não só do ponto de vista territorial, mas também do ponto de vista tecnológico. Nós hoje temos ameaças que são mais difíceis, muitas vezes, de percepcionar, mas que todos os dias temos diante de nós, nomeadamente no ciberespaço, nomeadamente naquilo que são, hoje, contextos de perturbação do normal funcionamento dos regimes democráticos e que existem, efetivamente, e para enfrentar essas ameaças nós precisamos desta solidariedade. Muito obrigado e bom trabalho. Obrigado.
How are you? Very well, sir. Good to see you.
Mr. Prime Minister.
What does this make us
You are the Hungarians over there, okay?
Mr. Prime Minister.
Yeah.
Are we moving to 5% from Hungary's point of view? If so, is this of a level to deter Russian aggression? And is NATO creating more problems in its relationship?
Too long. The question is too long. Sorry.
Okay, sir,
Come back to the 5%. Yeah.
5%,
With one precondition. So we are able to do it. It's not easy, but the whole calculation of budget regulation of European Union must be changed. So if we keep the regulation as it is, nobody in the European Union is able to fulfill 5%, whatever they say. So we have to recalculate everything in a different method. In that case, we can do.
Aren't you fiddling the figures?
Sorry?
Aren't you fiddling the figures? Creative accounting.
You like it?
Mr. Orban, isn't it concerning that our global security depends on one man's ego, Donald Trump's?
I don't think so. The international order is more based on common sense. And the President of the United States is a man of the common sense, as you have seen just recently to manage the conflict between Iran and Israel. So he's the man of common sense, which means that the new wars getting shorter and the old wars are running out of the fuel, which is the consequence of his activity. Sorry.
He's putting the biggest threat to Europe. He's putting the biggest threat to Europe.
Biggest threat to Europe? Losing the competitiveness. That's the real threat, not the real threat is not security-wise, it's economic and losing our competitiveness on the global trade. That's our problem.
Do you think that Russia will be mentioned?
Donald Trump's leadership towards NATO.
Sorry?
What do you think of Donald Trump's leadership?
Welcome back.
Do you think he deserves as much credit as Mark Rutte gave him in his private text messages yesterday?
Styles are different in many countries.
Mr. Prime
Prime
Minister,
Minister, do you expect Russia to be mentioned?
Sorry.
Do you expect that Russia will be mentioned as a threat or an adversary in a final stated after the summit?
It's always mentioned like that.
Do you support it?
I think Russia is not strong enough to represent a real threat to us. We are far stronger.
Why aren't you blocking like you always do? Why aren't you blocking like you always do?
Blocking what? No, we don't block it.
are you happy that President Zelensky is being kept on the sidelines this time and there's no talk of the Ukraine
You know, NATO has no business in Ukraine. Ukraine is not member of NATO, neither Russia. And my job is to keep it as it is. Thank you very much.
Good morning. It's always good to talk after Victor. First of all, I would like to say that this is a very important meeting, and this is not about the technical details or about the decisions of secondary importance. I think we should choose the motto, make NATO great again. And in the center of this ambition is 5% level of spending. 5% do not deter. The percentages do not fight on the battlefield, but they must be translated into the cash, and the cash should be translated into real capabilities. We have to admit we are lagging behind of Russia. And Russia is producing much more equipment and ammunition as we taken together. So for Baltic countries, for the Lithuania I represent, it's pretty clear that we even don't need the transitional periods. We are ready to do our job right now, 4% this year, and next year we intend to spend 5.25% of our GDP, keeping that level of spending until 2030. I would like to extend my gratitude to President Donald Trump, because without his engagement, I can imagine that we would discuss probably the level of 2.5% with no clear outcome and positive outcome. Probably those discussions will lead to nothing. So sometimes the external pressure of our biggest ally is very useful in order to get the point, to understand the, heat of the moment and to do our job. Why we need 5% in my country? We need in order to modernize our army, to create the national division, and to be ready to grant the best conditions for our allies, for our best friends and allies, Germany, United States. The 1,000 soldiers are stationed in Lithuania, United States soldiers. We have very ambitious plan to have full-scale German brigade until 2027. So for that, we need financial resources, and we are ready to do that.
Mr. President,
Sorry, it's not...
Mr. Orban just said that actually the biggest threat to Europe is lack of competition, lack of competitiveness. When he was asked if Mr. Putin is the biggest threat, I presume you believe Mr. Putin.
I could agree with Victor in this regard, that competition is important. But you know, we should understand very well, without the security, without our readiness to defend every inch of allied territories, all other remaining issues are just not relevant. Because if we lose our territorial integrity and independence, why we need this competitiveness? For what?
Do you believe Donald Trump would come to your aid if you were attacked? Do you believe Donald Trump would come to your aid if you were attacked?
I believe here in Article 5, and I think that Article 5 is very simple. One for all for one. And
lots of different interpretations.
I am looking forward to hear and to listen what will be this description of Article 5. But in my understanding, Article 5 is pretty clear.
But Trump keeps changing his mind.
I don't think so, and I really appreciate the President Trump. If he would not interested in the future of the NATO, why he would push these 5% on the table? I think this is very important to understand. If some person is interested to get the organization stronger, then proposals are coming, and proposals are coming from our biggest ally, and we have to respect those proposals.
But Mr. President, what do you think? What is your assessment? Why Russia poses so big threat to us now? What are Mr. Putin's goals at the moment?
Let's go to the year 2007, 2008. Mr. Putin said that the largest tragedy of 20th century was the collapse of Soviet Union. And if you listen what he's saying carefully, you will explain all the activities we faced in the recent decade, starting from Crimea, going to the war in Ukraine, and of course these threats. These threats are around us. And of course you should talk not only about Ukraine, Middle East, incidents in the Baltic Sea, almost everyday incidents, attacks against the critical infrastructure. This is our reality. This is our business as usual. And this is because of Russian activities. And of course, close ally Belarus. Because Belarus is another issue, and we have very long border with Belarus. And we face another kind of hybrid activities, for example, in the form of illegal and instrumentalized migration.
Mr. President.
I'm from the Netherlands. We have done soldiers in the country. Do you hope that they follow the German decision to stay permanent?
We appreciate very much your contribution, because this is integral part of EFP troops in Lithuania, and we all are working as a one strong power. 2035, of course, looking from our perspective, it is too late, because as I mentioned, we are ready to spend immediately 5%, and we would be happy to see that our allies, our partners, we are ready to do the same. But you know, NATO, like the European Council, is the organization of the consensus. If they reach a consensus, and the consensus is 2035, let's be like that. And I hope that we will increase the financing every year, consequently, in order to reach this target.
Mr. President, given that everyone seems to be...
As a forerunner on defense spending, how concerned are you about the flexible interpretation of the 5% target from Spain and Belgium? Do you think this can actually jeopardize the declaration?
I read the sentence. Allies are obliged to spend 5%, 3.5% on the core defense spending, 1.5% on additional and infrastructure spending, and to do that until 2035. And I cannot see any interpretations in the text. We all are obliged, and this is our common duty, to do the best. We should just make organization capable to withstand the pressure, not necessarily only the pressure of Russian Federation, but also the pressure of some other hostile nations. So this is our task.
Everyone seems to be having a different interpretation of what Donald Trump meant about Article 5. Do you believe that allies should have this conversation today at the table?
I don't know if there will be some conversation. It would be very useful, because it would be pretty clear what is Article 5. And maybe we need this very frank discussion about Article 5, because if we describe and we understand Article 5, we understand, our understanding is the same, of course it would mean that organization will be safer without no interpretations. Maybe this discussion has to come.
So you agree that now everyone has like slightly different
maybe
interpretations?
I will have some more answers to your question probably after our today's meeting. Thank you. Thank you.
Donald Trump.
Yes, I hope that the bilateral meeting of President Zelensky and United States President Donald Trump will take place. And I hope this is most important to know, that there is close contact between United States and Ukraine. And it's very important to keep this constant contact, to explain the arguments, to explain the situation, because the situation is changing every day. We understand. We are not far away from Ukraine. We understand the situation is changing. Not necessarily to the positive side, because Russia is trying to push the territories to go deeper into the territory of Ukraine. And probably this is a calculation of Vladimir Putin, just to imitate the negotiations, and meanwhile to attack, to occupy even larger territories of Ukraine, and maybe then somewhen sit at the table and to start peace negotiations. But I think this is not a very fair approach, and we have to resist it. Thank you.
basınla ölümden geçeceğiz Sayın Cumhurbaşkanım.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Where are you going to hold the summit next year?
Good morning.
mannen zeggen, ja sorry, dat is alleen maar zwak. Ja. Ja.
To the threshold. We're going to move up, you said, yeah? You said we're going to move up?
Yeah, like we're standing.
Good morning, sir. We'll start right here. And in 3, 2, 1.
Somebody that's actually asking.
Can you believe it? Thank you.
That's amazing.
That's the picture we want.
Yeah.
Well, I hope you slept well.
It was great.
Yeah?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you very much.
Wonderful. But actually, I'm going to tell you, that's you.
His Excellency Mr. Mark Rutte, Secretary General of the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, and His Excellency Mr. Dick Schoof, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of the Netherlands.
I think this is an okay spot.
His Excellency Mr. Bart de Wever, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Belgium. His Excellency Mr. Rosen Jeljaskov, Prime Minister of the Republic of Bulgaria. Her Excellency Ms. Gordana Siljanovska-Davkova, President of the Republic of North Macedonia. Her Excellency Ms. Kristrún Frostadóttir, Prime Minister of the Republic of Iceland. The Right Honourable Mark Carney, Prime Minister of Canada. His Excellency Mr. Kristen Michal, Prime Minister of the Republic of Estonia. His Excellency Mr. Peter Pellegrini, President of the Slovak Republic. His Excellency Mr. Pedro Sanchez, President of the Government of the Kingdom of Spain. His Excellency Dr. Robert Golob, Prime Minister of the Republic of Slovenia. His Excellency Mr. Jonas Gahr Støre, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Norway. His Excellency Mr. Edi Rama, Prime Minister of the Republic of Albania. His Excellency Mr. Gitanas Nausėda, President of the Republic of Lithuania. His Excellency Mr. Andrzej Duda, President of the Republic of Poland. His Excellency Mr. Recep Tayyip Erdogan, President of the Republic of Turkey. His Excellency Mr. Edgars Rinkēvičs, President of the Republic of Latvia. Son Excellence Monsieur Luc Frieden, Premier ministre du Grand-Duché de Luxembourg. His Excellency Mr. Luis Montenegro, Prime Minister of the Portuguese Republic. His Excellency Mr. Ulf Kristersson, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Sweden. His Excellency Mr. Jakub Milatovic, President of Montenegro. His Excellency Mr. Peter Pavel, President of the Czech Republic.
Thank you for that advice. Just as I'm going up.
His Excellency Mr. Nicu Jordan, President of Romania. The Right Honourable Keir Starmer, Prime Minister of the United Kingdom of Great Britain and Northern Ireland. His Excellency Mr. Kyriakos Mitsotakis, Prime Minister of the Hellenic Republic. His Excellency Mr. Alexander Stubb, President of the Republic of Finland. His Excellency Mr. Friedrich Merz, Chancellor of the Federal Republic of Germany. Her Excellency, Ms. Mette Frederiksen, Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Denmark. His Excellency, Mr. Zoran Milanovic, President of Croatia. His Excellency Mr. Viktor Orbán, Prime Minister of Hungary. Her Excellency Ms. Giorgia Meloni, President of the Council of Ministers of the Italian Republic. Son Excellence, Monsieur Emmanuel Macron, Président de la République française. the Honorable Donald Trump, President of the United States of America.
Please tell me if you got a screenshot. Can you see it?
The Netherlands, a small country shaped by water and by the people who refuse to give in to it. For centuries, the Dutch have battled water as generations stood united against this force, because safety isn't a given, it's something you build together. In 1949, we stood at the cradle of NATO, bound by the belief that peace is protected through unity and strength. Since then, NATO has shielded us, sparing 3 Dutch generations the horrors of war. As the Dutch unite against the sea, NATO allies unite to share the burden of defense and security. With deeper commitments and collaboration, we stand even stronger. Backed by partners around the world, 32 nations stand as one. We stand firm against our foes, on land, at sea, in the skies, in space, and cyberspace. Peace is our purpose, deterrence our shield, readiness our promise. NATO is not just about nations, it's about people, leaders, soldiers, citizens, each playing their part to protect the life we built for ourselves and future generations. NATO, security through strength.
So, good morning. Good morning to you all, and welcome to this leaders session of the North Atlantic Council. We meet at a dangerous moment for our 1 billion citizens. Russia's war against Ukraine rages on. An assertive grouping of adversaries seeks to divide and challenge us. There's war in the Middle East, terrorism poses a persistent threat, and new technologies bring opportunities, but also many serious security challenges. In the face of this, we stand together, united in NATO, the most powerful defensive alliance in world history. History has shown that North America and Europe working together is a winning combination. Our adversaries know this. Our enduring commitment to Article 5, that an attack on one is an attack on all, sends a powerful message. In this meeting, we will take historic, transformational decisions to make our people safer through a stronger, fairer, and more lethal NATO. To make NATO stronger, we have a concrete plan for all allies to spend 5% of GDP on defense. It will go towards core defense as well as defense and security-related investments. This decision is deeply rooted in our core mission and is required to resource our plans and readiness. This will also make NATO fairer, to ensure anyone and everyone contributes their fair share for our security. For too long, one ally, the United States, carried too much of the burden of that commitment, and that changes today. President Trump, dear Donald, you made this change possible. Your leadership on this has already produced $1 trillion in extra spending from European allies since 2016. And the decisions today will produce trillions more for our common defense to make us stronger and fairer by equalizing spending between America and America's allies. Allies will also agree to further increase defense production so that our armed forces have everything they need. That means a huge expansion of our defense industrial base on both sides of the Atlantic. That's good for our security, it's good for our economies and good for our jobs. Our decisions include continuing our support to Ukraine, while also pushing for a just and lasting peace. We all want the bloodshed to stop. We call on Russia to end its aggression against Ukraine. Let me now turn to Prime Minister of the Netherlands, Dick Schoof, whose government and people are graciously hosting us here. Thank you to the media for joining us. We will continue our discussions in just a moment, but first, and with the media here, please, Dick Schoof, your introductory remarks.
Thank you, Mark. Colleagues, friends, allies, on behalf of the Dutch government, welcome to The Hague. This is the NATO summit, the first NATO summit ever to be held in the Netherlands. And we are honored to have you here in the city that has been speaking in the language of peace and justice ever since the first Hague Peace Conference was held in 1899. I'm convinced that after today, The Hague will also be known as a city of collective purpose, unity and resolve. After all, we are about to write history. We are about to make decisions leading to an unprecedented increase in our collective defense spending and a new financial balance in our alliance. Both are urgent, both are necessary, and both will help make our transatlantic bond even stronger. So we can do justice to our founding principles of democracy, liberty and the rule of law, as laid down in the Washington Treaty. The last NATO event held in The Hague was a foreign minister meeting in 1989, just as Iron Curtain was beginning to break apart on the eve of the Cold War's end. And for a period, we hoped and believed that relations with Russia would continue to thaw. But the end of history turned out to be an illusion. An illusion that was shattered for good when Russia brutally invaded Ukraine. So today, there is a renewed awareness in our ranks that peace cannot be taken for granted, that it must be protected constantly and with conviction. And yes, peace comes at a cost. We must act on this swiftly and decisively. So let's stand united and embrace the Hague Defence Investment Plan. Let's go to work and write that history today. Thank you.
So thank you for the media for joining us, but in the spirit of democracy, I have to ask you to leave the room now. Thank you.